सुखवरण प्रभु नारायण हे, दुख हरण प्रभु नारायण हे, त्रिलोकपति दाता सुख धाम, स्वीकारो मेरे प्रणाम.
A question that's often asked is, why do things exist? Why must anything exist? Why must anyone exist? What's the purpose of it all? We will be talking today about what Sanātana Dharma says about why things exist and why whatever exists in the way in which it exists. Of course, when we talk about creation, we cannot cover all of it in just a single 10-minute video. Therefore, we will cover this across several videos, but we will lay the groundwork today as to what Sanātana Dharma, what Vedanta says about why creation occurs. Creation described in Vedanta is said to occur in a cyclic manner. That is, there is a cycle of creation and a phase of destruction, after which creation repeats once again. Now, this might raise a lot of questions like, why does this happen? Will it ever end? We will answer such questions slowly and over time. But let us look first into what creation itself actually is. The Sanatani scriptures such as Mahabharata, Vishnu Purana, Bhagavata Purana and Padma Purana, among many other such scriptures, such as even the Upanishads, deal with creation from the level of matter to the level of cosmos all at once. Creation of material or matter occurs from the infinite body of God, Paramatman himself. This infinite nature is to be understood as infinite positive qualities. That is, Parabrahman or Almighty, Sriman Narayana, is the repository of infinite positive qualities, and his body is the source of creation itself, so say the Vedas. When the Vishnu Purana, Bhagavata Purana and Padma Purana describe Brahma emerging from a lotus in his navel, they also speak of the release of a sea known as Pralaya Samudra. This sea is not one that's made up of water and minerals and mud and salt like the seas on the earth. Our scriptures use words such as fire and water to refer to a plethora of things of a generic kind, some of which often cannot be fathomed by us using our intelligence. That is, when our scriptures say waters, they don't refer to the H2O that we know as water. They can refer to many things as water. But we'll see this in time as to why our scriptures use such generic words. In the Mahabharata's Vanaparva, there is an entire section on the various kinds of fire alone in existence, and it even speaks of some kinds of heat that probably cannot be found on the earth on which we live. And it describes all these sources of heat, some of which are found only on other worlds, as types of fire, and it uses the generic word fire for all of them. Likewise, when scriptures speak of water and waters of creation as the repository for all created worlds in existence, it obviously does not refer to the water we drink, and it obviously refers to various kinds of things which, from certain points of view, behave like water. The oceanic nature of the fabric of creation itself lends the description of a sea to creation. This sea is thus the repository for all the raw material, so to speak, for all creation. And on this infinitely big sea, there forms a cosmic egg-shaped realm known as Brahmanda, within which all creation that must appear later are present, but in a reduced state described as Vayu. Vayu refers here not to the air we breathe, but ethereal material beyond our intelligence. We cannot really fathom what it is, but it is some kind of ethereal elemental existence from which further creations are going to appear. For your understanding, you can think of all things around you as being reduced to some basic material state and reduced into a tiny space. and this reduced state is called as Vayu. Brahma, who comes out of the lotus from the navel of Sriman Narayana, will work with the materials emanating out of this sea and the material within this egg to fashion them into the creation we can visibly see today. Now, how did Brahma become Brahma? Who is this Brahma? Here is where things become a little interesting. Brahma is a Jivatman born in a body. This Jivatman or soul has, like all other such souls, taken infinitely many rebirths, and in those lifetimes, in various bodily forms, this person who occupies the position of Brahma has conducted many penances using the bodies that he took in those many lifetimes, and all those penances through uncountably many such lifetimes have granted this Jivatman the position of being Brahma by means of its own karma phala. This might sound a little complicated at first, but it will become clearer as we look into creation cycles further. Now, the Brahmanda described here is but one such cosmic egg. There can be an unknown number of multiple such eggs, of which the Bhagavata Purana speaks. Brahma will use the power his position has granted him, the position that he has gained through many lives of karma, and he will use all his powers to perform acts of worship known as yajna towards the body of the Almighty Narayana from which he himself emerged. And he will shape the rudimentary material of creation in the great sea of creation or the Pralaya Samudra into worlds, sets of cosmic regions, matter, complex matter, and he will set in motion a cycle in which other souls or Jivatmans can take living bodies and manifest across many worlds he creates as life forms. Just as Brahma's karma through so many lifetimes of his has given him the position of being Brahma, all other Jivatmans that are taking on life also take bodies according to their karma phala. Someone as powerful as Brahma and someone as small as anyone like us are in this case governed by the same rules as Brahma is. That is, we are governed by the rules of our karma phala. Now, creation is so elaborate that there are hundreds of verses in Vedanta scriptures describing its various phases within the grand cycle within which Brahma will fashion all entities. The most primary phase is where Brahma uses yajna to shape the three gunas in nature, sattva, rajas and tamas, into those kinds of pre-material states which would later form what we call matter. The very first phases of creation are centered around Brahma fashioning entities which we would define as pre-material creation, which would later become into the heavier matter, which would in turn have all the properties of nature which we can perceive today, such as color, smell, taste, dimensions and so on. Worlds in existence are fashioned out of this matter. Worlds and sources of light, many other cosmic creations are all fashioned out of this rudimentary matter that Brahma gives some shape to using yajna, and they are arranged in the cosmos into cosmic regions, and life begins appearing across various worlds that Brahma creates thereafter. While we observe creation further in detail in future episodes, we need to understand how every creation is influenced by karma phala. Brahma's own karma phala influences the nature of things he brings into existence, and the living beings being brought into existence come into existence due to their own karma phala. Brahma's own bodily traits at any given time in creation are passed down into the entities that he creates. The appearance of creations thus occur across a period of time which would, from the human point of view, span out into millions and billions of years. One day of Brahma is well over 4 billion human years as time dilates across various worlds in existence. Thus, the day of Brahma across the worlds of the Devas would be viewed by them at a different pace. The passage of time within one day of Brahma across the worlds of the Asuras, Rakshasas, Yakshas would be viewed at different paces. As time dilates across various worlds, the pace at which creation itself is viewed by various creations on all these worlds will vary. Having known the basis behind how creation occurs and why things exist, we will see in future episodes as to how creation sustains and the purpose behind every living creature's existence. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, click the bell button so that you may get frequent updates. To one and all, Shriman Narayanaaya Namo Namaha.